This year, the United States Mint is striking commemorative coins honoring the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landings. The Apollo 11 coins are attracting a lot of attention lately. Part of the appeal of the Apollo 11 coins is the fact that they're curved. You don't see many curved coins. However, the concept of a curved coin isn't anything new. Believe it or not, curved coins existed thousands of years ago. The first nation to produce curved coins is the Eastern Roman Empire. In the 4th century, the Roman Empire was divided into two separate empires. So the Roman Empire in the 4th century was divided in half. The Roman Empire was divided into a western half and an eastern half. So the Roman Empire effectively became two separate empires. So the Western Empire is colored red on this map. And the Eastern Empire was colored purple in the map. Both halves of the Roman Empire had their own emperor. So the Western Empire had its own emperor, and a different emperor rules the Eastern Empire. Eventually, barbarians from Germany conquered the Western Empire. So the Western Empire collapsed because it was conquered by German barbarians. However, the Eastern Empire survived. The Eastern Roman Empire will be the subject of today's video. The guy that you see in this picture is Alexios Kommenos. Alexios Kommenos was the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. As I said earlier, the Roman Empire was divided into a western half and an eastern half. And each half of the empire had its own emperor. But eventually, the Western Roman Empire was conquered by German barbarians. So only the eastern half of the Roman Empire survived. So Alexios Kommenos was the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. And Alexios Kommenos is considered by many historians to be one of the best Eastern Roman emperors. Alexios Kommenos made many reforms to the government of the Eastern Roman Empire. One of Alexios Komnenos' reforms is monetary reforms. Alexios Komnenos was responsible for introducing a new gold coin called a Hyperpyron. What you see right here is Eastern Roman Hyperpyron. And the Hyperpyron is a gold coin. The Hyperpyron was the new gold coin that Emperor Alexios Komnenos introduced as part of his monetary reforms. Previously, the main gold coin of the Roman Empire was the solidus. But eventually, over time, the solidus was heavily debased. And because the solidus was debased, this prompted Emperor Alexios Komnenos to reform the monetary system. And as part of the monetary reforms, Emperor Alexios Komnenos introduced a new gold coin, the Hyperpyron. And the Hyperpyron is considered by historians to be the first curved coin. The obverse of the Hyperpyron depicts Jesus Christ. The Eastern Roman Empire was a devout Christian nation. In fact, the Eastern Roman Empire was the most powerful Christian nation during medieval times. Many Eastern Roman coins depict Jesus. The Hyperpyron is no exception. On the Hyperpyron, you see a standing portrait of Jesus Christ. You see a halo behind Jesus' head. The reverse of the Hyperpyron depicts the Eastern Roman Emperor Alexios Komnenos. As I said earlier, it was Alexios Komnenos who introduced the first Hyperpyron coins to the Roman monetary system. During Emperor Alexios Komnenos' reign, the first Hyperpyron coins were being minted. On the Hyperpyron, you see a standing figure of Alexios Komnenos. Alexios Komnenos is wearing a crown. On his left hand, he's holding a scepter. On his right hand, he is holding an orb with a cross on it. Back then, people believed that the Eastern Roman emperors were chosen by God. The Eastern Roman emperors believed they got their authority to rule from God himself. Thus, the Eastern Roman Emperor was God's representative on earth. If you take a closer look at the Hyperpyron, you'll notice that it has a concave look. The coin is shaped like a cup. Thus, the Hyperpyron is the first curved coin ever made. Another thing to note about the Hyperpyron, besides being curved, is that the Hyperpyrons are very thin. The planchets used to make the Hyperpyron are very thin. These are very, very thin coins. I think you can even bend them with your hand. So yeah, you can see how thin the coin is. And you can also see the curvature of the planchet. This picture more accurately shows how curved the Eastern Roman coins are. So you can really see how obviously curved the planchet is. Most people would describe Eastern Roman coins as being shaped like a cup. For those of you who wonder what's the gold content of these coins, the Hyperpyron usually contains around 5 grams of pure gold. I'm sure most of you guys know what the Crusades are. During the Crusades, Christians and Muslims were fighting for control of the Holy Land. However, do you guys know who started the Crusades? Believe it or not, it was the Eastern Roman Emperor Alexios Komnenos that started the Crusades. The Eastern Roman Empire lost a lot of its territory due to invasions by the Muslims. And the Eastern Roman army didn't have enough manpower to deal with these invaders. In fact, the Muslims defeated the Eastern Roman army at the Battle of Manzikert. During the Battle of Manzikert, the Roman army lost a lot of soldiers. A lot of Roman soldiers were killed at the Battle of Manzikert. And because of that, the Roman army is short in manpower. Over the years, the Muslims, or Turks, were conquering more and more territory from the Eastern Roman Empire. Because of this, the Eastern Roman Emperor asked the Pope for help. The Pope responded by sending armies of knights to reconquer the Holy Land. And part of this aim is to help the Eastern Roman Empire reconquer its lost territory. So that's how the Crusades started. As I said earlier, the Eastern Roman Emperor Alexios Komnenos asked the Pope for help in reconquering the empire's lost territory. The Pope responded by sending a large army of knights to help Emperor Alexios Komnenos. Emperor Alexios Komnenos hired the knights as mercenaries. So over time, the Eastern Roman Empire managed to reconquer much of its lost territory with the help of the knights. As I said earlier, Alexios Komnenos hired the knights as mercenaries. So obviously the knights needed to be paid. And it's most likely that the knights were paid with Hyperpyrons like this one during the Crusades. It would be very cool to own a gold Hyperpyron. The gold Hyperpyrons are basically relics of the Crusades. Imagine a gold Hyperpyron such as this one might have been used to pay a knight during the Crusades. If you guys want to know more about the Eastern Roman Empire's curved coins, I highly recommend checking out this Coin Week article. It's titled, "Why Did Byzantine Coins Become Cup-Shaped?" If you're wondering what Byzantine is, well, historians often called the Eastern Roman Empire the Byzantine Empire. They're basically the same thing. So this article from Coin Week discusses the Eastern Roman Empire's cup-shaped coins more in detail. I'll post the link to this article in the description.